The pathway to euphoria. You know, that place where you're happy and in this different state and you have everything you want and you're in bliss and all of that. Yes, I was given a pathway to euphoria. And if you take it, you will live the life you want to have. You'll be happy. You'll have all the money. You'll have the career. You'll have the relationships. You'll have all that stuff. And the only problem will be you will not believe me. I didn't believe me either. But today I'm going to show you because it's time for us to believe in ourselves. And I'm going to give you this. I was doing an interview last night for a YouTube a podcast, a YouTube in Vietnam, actually. So it was late last night. I'm doing this interview and I'm giving them my life story. I'm saying I did this work and it healed my life. And I'm 74, almost 74 years old. I'll be that in November. And I said, and I'm just trying to explain it to people because I want them to know what is possible. And but then I said, yeah, people aren't going to get that because see, it took a while for me to get it. How did I heal these things? How did I become so aligned with who I am? How did I go through all the tragedies and disasters and horrible things that I experienced in my life to be at this place now? And so explaining that to others was really challenging, but I do know that anybody can do it if you choose to. And that's what I'm going to give you. But sometimes we stop, and I've stopped. The reason I'm doing this today is because I did a channeling session yesterday, and it's called All You Had to Do is Love Yourself, because it is all we have to do. But getting to that place is really a challenge. And over time, we develop different things so we know how to do that. Throughout our civilization, we develop new things throughout technology, and certain people figure that out. Well, I was obviously one of those people who kind of figured that out. And this was the time in our world where I was meant to bring it forth so we could give it to everyone else. And so what I'm saying is that we're moving through a transition in our world. And this is what I've been talking about for a long time. And so we had a change here in the United States yesterday. And I said, oh, well, that must mean that I've been given something that people need to understand because the information that I have received corresponds to the changes in our world, in our society. And you might have heard that if you'd listened to the channeling session, but I'll leave a link for that as well. And there was one last year you could probably hear, and it would explain the same thing. But just imagine this. You were born with everything that you needed, and it's all within you. And so all you do is move through your life day by day and you access more of it. And as you keep doing that, then you understand who you are and you come to your authentic self and you have this really great, happy life. And then you give that to others and then they keep doing the same thing. And then we have this wonderful world where we all love each other. And it sounds ridiculous, except it is true and it is actionable. And I know that because I've created the path. I was given the path. And when I sat down to start receiving information, cosmic guidance in 1989, I had no idea what it was going to do, what it was going to do for me and or for anyone else. There was never my intention. But then it was revealed to me. It was my role in this life. If you've heard a channeling session, there was a time where it was said that I was meant to bring together science, spirituality, and human potential. And I've done that because I've demonstrated it all, because I've created things, my human potential, that people said, no, that's impossible. You can't possibly do that. And I'm saying we can. When we let go of our biases, our doubts, our disbeliefs, we can do so many things. That's any human, but not everyone will do that. That's what we're moving through in our world now. And I got up this morning, and this is why I was so motivated to do this, because I started listening to a podcast from Rich Roll. I had never been to his podcast or seen his channel, and it's called Unlock Your True Self. And he was interviewing a neuroscientist, Joel Pearson, who wrote a book called The Intuition Toolkit. And they were having this discussion. Well, how can you use your intuition? How can you trust it? What is it going to do? They're doing and they are going into more research and all of that. And I said, well, I know the research. I did it. I've lived it. And I said, well, what happens as a result of that? Well, what happens when you use your intuition, you trust it, you find yourself, and then you create something wonderful that you could give to the world. But you also live this really wonderful life because you were given guidance is within you, and all you have to do is follow it. We don't do that because we don't believe it. will think something else. And I can say this because I've done it. But what I do know is that once you change that, all these magical things start to happen. And that's what I'm giving to the world because I'm not going to be around forever. So I have to do this now. I'm saying this because I'll give you some information after I show you this little presentation that I put together. I've done so many of them in this last week, all in an effort to stop what I've been doing so that I can finish my work. And that's what I'm talking about. What I'm going to do is show you this presentation because there's synchronicity. And I've talked about that with Carl Jung brought us that when we understand that nothing is happening accidentally, we are all connected to the universe, to source, to God, however you think of it. We just have to find that connection within us. And when we do that, then we can provide that to others. And that's what I'm doing now. And as I read the messages, you will understand so much more because they happened all on the same date, July 22nd, since 2012. See, I was told that this particular period, 2012, was when I received all of this information that could have you transform your life and have us transform our world. So we don't keep destroying it. We don't stay unhappy. We don't stay angry. We don't stay with all of those other things. I was just given the pathway. But that pathway also exists within you. I'm just a guide. And that's what my messengers always tell me all the time. I was just a person who received the information. And then Joel talked about something else that I've also mentioned. He said cognitive dissonance. He said that is the difficulty that most people have because you haven't experienced something and you can't jump outside of your limited thinking. And so when I'm saying to you that I received information years ago that pertinent now, and I didn't understand it when I received it, but I do now. That's how we learn anything. That's how we learn in school. When you think of it that way, you go to different grades and then you have more information and then you can ascend to the next grade that you're meant to move to. Well, our world, our collective consciousness does the same thing. But there are certain ones of us, me, who are meant to bring something in, and that's what I've done. But accepting that was so challenging, and that's the same thing for you. Because when we can't accept that path that we have, who we're meant to become, then everything else it gets messed up. And what I've done is I've screwed up all my financial stuff because I said for the last 4 years, I was just like going in the other way because I said, no one's going to understand this. No one's going to really get this. But it was me who didn't believe it. And it's the same thing for you. That's the only thing that goes on because we're never done with this process, you see. We have so much more we can do. But now I have to make another shift because we create the world through energy, and the energy has shifted again. And it's shifted in the United States, and we'll see it in the rest of the world. So this is why I'm doing this today. But I'm going to show you the presentation now. And as you look at it, I want you to understand what it is. And then the other thing that I'm doing is that I'm cutting off my enrollments right now because I have to finish this work. I've created something that's so valuable that anyone could want to use. That's why I called it your last development program. And I know that that's true. You may not believe that, and that's okay, because if you don't believe it, that means you have everything that you want. You're in a really great place in your life right now. You don't need anything that I'm talking about. And you're just kind of here hanging out for the fun of it. But if you're looking for anything, and if you don't have everything you want, if you want to reach the next level of your life, then this is the work. And at this moment, anybody can afford it. So you cannot use that excuse because I've used that one my entire life. Oh, I can't afford that. That's too much. Let me go and spend thousands of dollars on everything else that I did because I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars throughout my life trying to get information and understand things. And then to have the final thing that happened through my life come through intuitively over years, because it took 35 years for me to do it. But this is what you have. So if you're here for the first time, please subscribe to the channel, share it with others. I want more to have this information, as again, because it's only going to be a few slots that are open this week that I'm closing, and then I have to put my focus on finishing because I haven't done that. I've talked about that quite a bit because it was shocking to me what I had accomplished. That will happen for you too, because you won't believe it and you'll think that you're in this imposter. We go through that one a lot, and we aren't. We just have to come into acceptance. So as you listen to all of these, make your decision, come into my group, come into my Ascension circle. You can have that. But if you want to come into the program, now would be the best time for you to do it because I'm putting so much more in there because I have to leave this at the much higher price, which many people know is going to be $2,400. So it's going to be that because I know that's such a bargain to have something that could change your life and give you everything that you want for the rest of your life. And that's what happens because with this work, you do it yourself and you keep using it because you're never done. But now you have a source, you have a resource. And that's why I love Joel's title, the Intuition Toolkit. That's basically what I've created, but I called it, I broke the code, the consciousness code, because we exist in our consciousness, but we're also limited there as well. But when you can break it, you have everything you want. And then the other wonderful thing is you make a wonderful contribution to the world. And every single person has that within them. That's why I have on my website, you are a gift to humankind, because I know that is true for every person. We just may not accept it. For me, it took a while because I had to develop this. And I wish I was telling the interviewer, if I had only had this work when I was younger, my life would have been very, very different. But I know that now people who use it, they will make their lives different, and also it will make our world quite different. The particular change that we're moving through in the United States that just happened again and happened before in 1968. And that was in Chicago. I'm just talking about a convention and things that we went through. I was there. That's what I live. So I have references to in this physical world of different things as well, but my sense of the eternal world has been much greater, obviously. But you will understand that when you hear all of this. But the main thing I want you to understand, there's no reason that you can't have the life that you want. There's no reason that you can't have everything that you want if you decide to take the pathway to your euphoria that exists within you. Every single soul has it. We just have to decide if we're going to live it. That's all. You can experience a state of euphoria when you go about creating what you desire with no regard for expected results. When you hold your ideas of what results you might receive from your efforts, you will either place limitations on them or project the exact opposite of what you desire and create that instead. This will make more sense when you attempt to hold an expected result of what you desire and notice that the unwanted result will come into your consciousness as well. When you hold no expectations, you experience joy, happiness, and access to all of your abilities and talents, which is that state of euphoria. It is possible to continue that state with practice and persistence. You are now given permission to break the rules. That statement is designed to make you aware that you have been guiding your physical life experience by certain rules and regulations that no longer serve any value for you in terms of your goal of expansion. When you were born, you were continually presented with certain rules and regulations that were intended to help you adapt to the physical world, prevent you from harming yourself or others, and give you a framework of good and bad as thought of by those entrusted with your development. You then unknowingly began applying those rules and regulations to many aspects of your life where they were not useful and therefore halted your sense of curiosity and adventure. Every great inventor only created their inventions when they became willing to break the rules. They understood that creating or manifesting anything worthwhile would require them to look outside of the box, as it were. This is what you are up to now when you become willing to break the rules. There is a timeline, so to speak, of events, circumstances, and situations that occur in your life that are unique to you and all purposefully allowed to appear there by you in order that you might use all of it to expand. You could do nothing better than to study that statement and make every attempt to accept it fully. This is imperative for you because you miss the beauty and perfection of your timeline and what it has to offer you because you keep comparing your life to that of others. The biggest problem for you in doing this is that you begin to place standards or measures of where you should be, what you should have done by now, or what you should have by now. Please remove all the shoulds and honor your timeline. There is nothing that shows up in your physical life experience that, on some level, you did not allow. Allow is an easier word for you to accept rather than desire, but many times they may be interchangeable. Your human thinking will initially reject that premise because you will immediately think of all the difficult or challenging things that showed up, and you think you could not have possibly allowed that to be in your life. In those moments, you are forgetting your intention in this lifetime, and that was to always expand, evolve, and become more. So if you were left to your own devices, so to speak, you may not challenge yourself enough to be motivated to expand. So now you can look at this difficult thing or task in front of you and know it is merely another opportunity for you to shine and become even more magnificent. You are always in the process of creating something, and you become powerful when you decide to do it deliberately and consciously. It is important, first of all, for you to accept that everything is energy, and everything then is created from and through energy. You emanate your own energy, which is creative, through your thoughts, words, and actions. There's a hierarchy of sorts of that energy, meaning some is more powerful than others. The one that is most powerful and which you continually underestimate is the power of the energy of your thoughts. The second most powerful are both your words and actions because they form a particular type of energy as well. The main thing to know is that all energy is creative and you are continually using it. Now become aware of how you are doing so. Think of your existence as a continual, ongoing, never ending birthing process. It is easy for you to imagine your own birth as you witness that of others, and you can notice and feel the wonder and excitement a baby holds. You also notice the needs they have, and their incessant cries are calls for those needs to be answered. You have difficulty understanding this later in life because you believe that something magical should happen to you once you reach a chronological age. Now, because you hold this belief, you can inadvertently cut yourself off, so to speak, from that curiosity and wonder you held as a baby. You could do nothing better now than to decide to view the rest of your life with those childlike eyes. You volunteered for this. We thought it would be easier for you if we begin with that statement because you and so many others start to judge yourself harshly when you uncover something about your life that you have been creating somewhat unconsciously. And when you see it, you think it was so obviously you should have known. The reason you could not see it is you couldn't quite yet believe that you had the original thought or that you could accomplish whatever that might be. But now you understand how creation occurs. Isn't this fun? We are using that title so you and others become a bit more eager to receive this message. As you consciously decide to remain conscious as you move through your life, the revelations that come to you increase, and many of them surprise you. But most times you stumble upon things you have been doing that withhold your expansion. We know those words are strange, but they will make sense. Long ago, you discovered an idea you had about selfishness that did not serve you. But now you see how that caused you to develop a sense of responsibility for the actions of others. In other words, if you offered them something of value and wisdom, and if they don't accept it, you become wrong. Now decide to become selfish. Own what you have come to know and share it with others and hold no responsibility for what they receive. This message is for you and anyone else who desires to be of service to others. Your evolutionary process. We love this message so much, even though we have yet to deliver it. But we also know that many, including Roger, will find such great comfort. Many times we say that we awakened Roger, but today we will say he awakened himself. We do mean that in various ways. Roger was quite restless and couldn't sleep because he was seeking answers. On the other hand, we were not feeling that anxiety, for we know all is unfolding as it should and on time. Yesterday, Roger was sent and observed various information about the current conditions of your world, and many attribute it to some force attempting to exert control over the masses. Many believe those others are the ones who created the pandemic. Roger bristles when he hears those things, but the part that he, as you, didn't understand is he is supposed to listen to those things, for it would cause him to come to know who he is and do his job. Now, you may wonder what his job might be, as he asked as well, but we have told him for decades, as your guides have told you. But due to your continuing lack of belief in yourself, you find it challenging to think you hold a vital role in this evolutionary process. Yet you do. Evolu- Evolution occurs through individuals making choices from the experiences that are presented to them. You are doing that now, and you have done it in other lifetimes. If those other lifetimes, in those other lifetimes, you also might have been the opposite of who you might be now. While that may be challenging to understand, attempt to notice those traits, characteristics, likes, and dislikes that you cannot explain. They are guiding you to who you wanted to be in this lifetime. You use all those things to aid your personal evolution, which is also that of the world. Now we will give you the cause of Roger's restlessness, as it might be yours. He has come to accept that everyone is entitled to their opinion, but he can't understand why they don't see he is right. That is Roger's human thinking. And ours is you are all right. But what you are attempting to do is own your rightness. When you do that, you will allow others to do the same. And the healing that will manifest within you and the world will astound you. We led Roger to various videos this morning that magically answered his questions so that he might hear what we have told him for decades. Just do your job. We will leave you with a thread of messages if you choose to follow it, but please know that you have your thread to follow. It is essential to the evolution process, and you are right. If you share who you are, your world might change. Yes, we do mean you, for you would not be in the world if you were not meant to make a difference in this current restructuring and your evolution. You were born to offer something to the world, and that gift is what is uniquely you. When you do not understand what that may be, you might have moved through your life with many doubts and fears. You may have also thought you failed, or possibly you were being punished for something you can't remember. Part of that is correct, but it was never meant to be a punishment. We are still delivering information in smaller doses because it is more effective, and we will continue on the 25th. We will give you one story that will further explain this restructuring within you and your world. We have said you are moving through a restructuring, and this period is why you are in the world. In 2020, you had an event that caused you to examine your life more closely and given you the chance to release those things you no longer desire. But your choices made individually will affect the collective, which is also undergoing a restructuring. The United States is undergoing a restructuring now, and Roger is correct in his thinking as to why we moved him. You were never meant to view the changes within your world from a place of fear or dread, but to the contrary. If you embraced what was before you, then the punishment you thought you received for something in your life would suddenly be seen for the gift it was. You are perfect. We thought those words would capture your attention, and we knew you would be the person attracted to them, for that is what you wanted to understand and finally realize about yourself and your physical life experience. We have just given you the result of all the work we have provided for you to utilize during this restructuring of your world. Yesterday, we had Roger write an article where we revealed more of the reason for our work and your life. And we will have him leave a link here for you to read, as we also gave him an instruction we will pass on to you. In the article, you will read your life's purpose and work. They were both to allow you to accept your magnificence so you could contribute all the wisdom and knowledge you've gained through your life experiences so your world would continue on an evolutionary path that would serve more humans. Only in that way does your planet continue to exist and expand. None of that would happen without your contribution, which is why we gave you the article. Everything you have experienced that you judge as being wrong, challenging, demanding, insignificant, or any other term other than brilliant, magnificent, or glorious is something you made up. Those terms have nothing to do with your goal of obtaining the experience of ultimate reality, the purpose of humankind that will always exist, for you are eternal spirits. You are living a physical life experience, which is why we use the phraseology continually throughout what we provided in 2012, which many of you have not understood. So we offered other references in the article to stretch your imagination. So many received superb results with the program we provided because we allowed you to reinterpret everything about your life experiences so you might recognize and own the worth and value you have acquired throughout your life. All you have moved through, endured, conquered, and feared were part of your perfection of you. Every fear you overcame, you helped all those who will come after. And in that way, your world will be one that you wanted to experience, and the legacy you will leave is one your world will remember and thank you for eternally. You will be fine. Barbenheimer wasn't accidental either. We decided to use references to your entertainment today so you might witness more of your brilliance. The name's creation also seemed random when someone combined the titles of two eagerly awaited films to be released on the same day, which was also not accidental. You all possess that creativity. The friction behind creating the films and their history also seemed accidental. The failed attempt at reconciliation is also a worthy reflection. This time in your world, with all the current conditions, is only incidental if you believe you are. Deep thinking will bring awareness. Both creators had vision and foresight before they had awareness and could never have known their accidental debuts would have such a profound impact on your world and society. You can never know that for yourself if you continue to think you are an accident. The message we gave you on this day in 2012 will be accidental if you believe you could never achieve your dreams. We said we had given you an ascension guide, and nothing we have provided you for decades in this manner has been random. We always wanted to lead you to euphoria because it would mean you have come to love yourself and others. You still have work.